So today we're going to be learning about the elements of a sonnet, particularly a Shakespearean sonnet. Shakespeare is most famous for his plays, but he wrote over 100 sonnets, which were mostly produced, or I should say published, after his death or posthumously. So the first question I want you to consider is, when thinking about the elements of a sonnet, how many lines are in a sonnet? Because that's particularly important. So just take a moment and count up the lines that you see. See if you come up with them. So determining the lines will be the easiest question that you have to memorize. How many lines? So let's just count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Every Shakespearean sonnet will have exactly 14. Now, for my way of thinking, the next easiest part of a sonnet is to look at the rhyme scheme. Not all poems have to rhyme, but sonnets, in particular Shakespearean sonnets, do rhyme. So the way that we distinguish rhyme scheme is we give each line a letter. And if the lines rhyme, you give them the same letter. So at the end of each line, we're going to delineate the rhyme scheme by giving each line a letter. Same lettered lines will rhyme. So let's practice this. The first line ends with the word day. Day does not rhyme with temperate. So we're going to give the first line a letter A, and we're going to give the second line a letter B because they don't match. Line 3 is May. May and day rhyme. So we will give that line the letter A so that it goes with the same as the first line. Temperate and date. Now, in the way we speak today, it's not a perfect match. Temperate is probably the way they pronounced it during Shakespeare's time, and so temperate and date rhyme. So we are going to distinguish that with the letter B. So following in that same vein, if we look at the next line, line 5, shines doesn't rhyme with any of the words before it, date, may, temperate, or day. So we're going to give it a new letter, and that new letter will be the next one alphabetically, which is C. Dimmed does not rhyme with shines or any of the lines before it, so we're going to give it a new letter. That letter will be D, the next one alphabetically. Now, declines rhymes with shines, so we're going to give that a letter C, and trimmed rhymes with dimmed, so we're going to give that a letter D. So again, following in the same vein, fade does not rhyme with any of the words. Lines 1 through 8, so we're going to start with the letter E. Oist doesn't rhyme with fade, so we're going to give that the letter F. Shade and fade rhyme, so we're going to give that the letter E. And growest and oist rhyme, so we are going to give that a letter F. And the last two lines of the sonnet rhyme with each other, and the next two words of the alphabet are G. So we're going to give those last two rhyming lines the letters GG. So you now have two answers to your knowledge of elements of a quatrain, of a sonnet. How many lines are in a sonnet? 14. What is the rhyme scheme? A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, G, G. So I kind of just alluded to the next term that we're going to learn when it comes to thinking about sonnets and beginning to format them and analyze them. And we can break this sonnet up into sections that are equal parts. So if you look, those of you who take Spanish, you probably know the numbers. And the number 4 in Spanish is cuatro. So you can divide these lines up into 3 sections of 4 lines each. And that particular term is called a quatrain. So as you can see, there are three distinct sections of four rhyming lines, right? And those are going to be referred to as quatrains. So the next thing that you need to know is that if I ask you how many quatrains are in a Shakespearean sonnet, you are going to be able to say there are three. What is a quatrain? It's a group of rhyming lines, four rhyming lines in a Shakespearean sonnet. So when you are assessed on your knowledge of Shakespearean sonnets, I want to be able to say, please write the metaphor found in quatrain 2, and you will be able to look specifically at quatrain 2 and quatrain 2 only. Okay, I can ask you a question like, what does Shakespeare compare her complexion to, or what color? You'll be able to go back into quatrain 2 and see that the color is gold because you know exactly where quatrain 2 is. So I want to be able to refer back to certain sections of the sonnet by using the terminology quatrain. Quatrain 1, quatrain 2, or quatrain 3. So the last two lines of a sonnet do have a specific term, and those two lines are called the heroic couplet. I always think of the heroic couplet as something that comes to save the day, and in a sense, the last two lines kind of like give the big idea that the sonnet is supposed to represent, to kind of save the day for the reader, to kind of sum it up nicely in the final two rhyming lines.